Hello and welcome to episode 10 of the Thefanpubcast. It's Alan Shawn back again. How are you, Sean?
I'm back and I'm here, Al, after what has been a very painful morning.
Well, yeah,
Can we say that on the air?
Even the dentists are trying to keep you quiet.
I've been at the dentist this morning and it was not the greatest of experiences before coming here, I've got to be honest. So I'm here. Hopefully the voice will hold up and I don't feel too good. Not the best experience.
Well, football's getting closer, so that'll cheer you up.
Definitely cheered us up. And a great draft, didn't we? Live draft we just had as well.
Such good fun. I love drafting. It's great.
Oh, wasn't that a good weekend? For all those people that came, honestly, it was amazing. If you want to have a little glimpse into what it's like, a live draft, come and have a look on the TFP site. There's photos and all sorts of stuff going up there. But it was fun, and I'm sure we'll talk about
another one in Southampton on 2nd of September.
Well, we've got to mention that, because if you want in on one of these live drafts, you really do need to make contact with ourselves. We can point you in the right direction of the commissioners running the league. We're going to be there.
Yeah.
And we'll look forward to seeing you, and I'm sure you'll be able to...
But there are good points about it as well.
Yeah, of course. The other people are the good points.
Absolutely great fun. So, if you're umming and ahhing about doing one of these live drafts, do, because they're such good fun. Anyway, straight on to the news.
Yeah, loads of
it.
There's
loads.
Oh, wow.
We can't stop talking about these.
Yeah, can't talk about dentists when we got all these kind of problems. Yeah, let's see some.
I mean, I did offer Sean some work, helping with removing his teeth, but he didn't seem keen. But there we go.
Well, you are. You look like you're one of these sort of heavyweight kind of boxers who could probably do quite a lot of damage with a couple of swings. I didn't fancy it, really, to be honest with you. I think it might lead to more dentistry, I have to be honest.
Okay, the first news, it's not probably the biggest news. Daniel Jeremiah said he will be shocked if Nelson Aguilar doesn't play in the slot this year for the Jets. To which Jordan Matthews came out and said, it was all clickbait. But then the team came out and said, actually, it's a very close contest.
Right.
So where do you see this? Obviously, they've got Torrey Smith, Alshon Jeffrey as well in the mix.
How do you see it all play out? I see it as a rotation of players. I mean, look, they're already in trouble as it is, aren't they?
Well,
don't you think? I mean, don't you think their team is already in deep trouble?
Well, the Eagles?
Yeah.
It's a tough division, I think.
I mean, it is a tough division. I like the team.
I think Wentz can take a big step up this year.
I do agree. I think Wentz he's on my sneaky sleeper list. Yeah, Wentz. If you want a late round quarterback and as a second, he's a great one to have because there are matchups that will really suit him.
He's getting some rave camp reviews.
He will move the ball. There is going to be better opportunities for the team, and the wide receivers are the interesting part because I just think the crop of wide receivers he's working with just aren't the strongest, to be honest. So there is
Alshon Jeffrey's going.
Yeah, they're not the strongest.
Okay.
And let's be honest.
Torrey Smith. Oh, right.
Yeah, he's not the strongest. See, the problem is there'll be a rotation of these wide receivers. This is where I'm heading with this.
You expect Jeffrey to stay in and all?
You would like to hope that he stays healthy, but he does.
Stays healthy.
But the problem is he's never stayed healthy for so long. I'm almost at the point where, as a fantasy drafter, I never draft him because I just don't trust him, and that's always been my advice. It's not like. Sometimes a player just gets injured for 1 year and that's it. This is a guy who perennially gets injured long before the season starts or often as the season begins. I just can't trust the guy.
Well, Alshon Jeffrey hasn't been fantasy relevant since Jay Cutler. And talking of Jay Cutler, he's back. Jay Cutler is back. He's signed a $10 million 1 year deal.
Jay the Snake Cutler is back. Yeah.
What do you make of that?
I think that's stupid. I do. I think that's a bad bit of business actually from Miami. Let me tell you why I think that is. Because they had Matt Moore as the backup to Tannehill, and he's a perfectly serviceable general. It's like the Case Keenum situation. While Case Keenum was holding the job down till Jared Goff, took over and then lost every game subsequently. Case Keenum can win games. Matt Moore can win games. Look, the thing is, Miami are not going to be. They were never going to be a championship contender this year. There's a lot of rebuilding that needs to take place.
Last year, though, didn't they?
Yeah, but I think that was flattering to deceive, really. And I mean, the AFC's got issues as overall as a quality of a division. There's a few standouts, but the rest are pretty poor. It's the NFC where the real, for me anyway. I don't know if you agree, but I think there's a lot of there are some interesting teams coming through now in the AFC, and they're probably going to make some big strides.
Well, when I think of the AFC, I'm looking at. Obviously the Pats.
Yeah, at the number one.
Obviously Steelers, big fan of theirs. If they can keep all their, if they can keep all their parts fit, and get Martavis Bryant on the pitch,
then they'll be all right. But it's just a fascinating division, and I just think Miami it's a free fall. It's a panic move from the back office. It tells you a lot about the back office.
Do you think they're a good bet? Because I think their over under bet win was 9. Do you think that's a good bet? I don't know if that's fallen since the.
Well, I can't see. I can't see them. I think the problem it's possible because the division is weak. So let's be honest. Miami are not the weakest team in that division. The Jets are. So everybody in that division could potentially get 2 wins against the Jets. I mean, it would shock me if the Jets win many games this year, more than a couple, really.
It's almost like they're not trying to win.
It seems that way. So you could see the logic of why somebody said over 9 is possible. And that may make them, you're right, Al, may make them a playoff team by definition. But they would be a very weak wildcard team going in.
Well, talking of the Jets, they're very active in the news this week.
Yeah.
Quincy Enunwa.
This is really bad.
Suffered a bulging disc in the neck. He's out for 6 to 9 months, out for the year.
This is really bad luck. I mean, because
he was their wide receiver one. You know, the bright spark maybe.
The guy who had worked really hard from nowhere to break into the team last year. A chap who you really wanted good things to happen for, even on a bad team, because you could see that he was just coming into his own in that team, and I just felt good things would come for him. Not necessarily ultimately with the Jets, but just good things would come. And then this happens, and now that's really serious because you don't know with the bulge in the neck what that actually really means. I mean, that has so many repercussions personally and professionally. That could be so serious.
I mean, the other news is
really bad. I hope 6 to 9 months. I hope he recovers fully well because
and he's back next season.
Yeah, I don't want to see something bad in the off season about that, but I really hope for the best with that.
I mean, the other news: both their running backs, neither are practicing. Bilal Powell's also got a neck injury.
Yeah, heard that. That's
and
awful.
Forte's nursing him, as he does every camp.
I mean, maybe there's some fantasy gold sitting behind those two because at the moment, the way that's looking, I mean, it's looking to me, it looks like a 60-40 split in Bilal Powell's favour at the moment, assuming both were healthy. But as both aren't, crikey.
Well, Elijah Maguire's taken all the snaps. But
that's what's interesting.
And you thought, well, there'll be some positive news about him, and they were sort of talking him down. They said that he showed no explosiveness. I mean, it's not good. It's
not a good team. It's not looking good. I do feel for the Jets fans. I've been there myself as a Ram. We've had a very bad couple of years. Not recently, but they were bad. We've had worse.
Robbie Anderson obviously gets a big uptick, and maybe ASJ.
Sorry about that. My jaw was hurting there. Went off phase for a second there, like wired for sound.
And as Austin Severian Jenkins, he's missing a couple of games, isn't he? And he's banned for a couple of games this year.
I believe that's right. Yeah. Just to help out.
And is he someone you trust?
No.
Robbie Anderson, is he?
Well, he's obviously
by default.
He's the next man up. But they're saying, again, the Jets are saying they don't like what they're seeing, which is horrendous. I don't know what they think their team's going to be like, to be honest, this year.
He's the only one left.
Got a terrible right.
Well, they got that. Is it Sharon Peake?
There's no fantasy relevance in the Jets this year. It's a team to avoid picking players off. Let's be honest.
They did pick some. It depends. Didn't they pick up the guy from San Francisco, Ellington, and then they waved him straight?
The truth of the matter is, with this situation with the Jets, if you're in a very deep format, sure, you've got to pick Jets players. If you're not, you're a 12-man, 40-man, just avoid them.
Well, you don't even know who the quarterback is yet. McCown's probably in the lead, but then you got the two other sort of young quarterbacks all taking they're taking snaps as well. Hackenberg and Petty.
I don't like the situation at all. I mean,
you're not even sure who that's going to be.
I mean, you don't even. The worst part for them is that you're not frightened by any aspect of their game. Nothing frightens you as a defense. If you're a defensive coordinator, there's nothing about the Jets.
What frightens you is if you own one of them.
If you I'm glad I don't. Quite frankly, glad I don't have any piece of them yet. I don't plan on having any at all.
Okay, well, I mean, Travis Kelce. I mean, we're going around the camps here, so we're trying to give you as much news as you can because it's fantasy relevant. He was sighted with his leg in a sleeve.
Yeah, never a good sign, is it?
No, you put legs in sleeves. It's like an all-in-one sort of.
There's lots of new techniques that are coming out for how to handle swellings and deep bruise and all sorts of stuff.
That's a little worry for him, and we don't like taking tight ends early anyway. So.
No, we saw a little bit of this actually at the live draft. Some tight ends went earlier.
And Reed dropped a lot, even though he's only out a week. He dropped a lot.
I've got no disrespect for people taking whatever they want to do. They've all got their own strategy. Like any draft, everybody's got their own strategy. But I'm very much an advocate of just take late tight end this year. I think there's a lot of pack ones, and when people say he's naturally going to take a step up, you have looked at the Kansas City offense for this year. You have taken a peek at what they have to offer, and do people believe that they're going to be able to really stretch and explode the field? I do,
because I think they've got a clever coach.
The coach might.
They won't do it in a conventional way, but
it'll have to be. You're right. It'll have to be gadgets. It'll have to be clever little sneaky plays. He's capable. There's no doubt he's capable. But that's a tough. They've got quite a tough schedule, so it'll be interesting how it goes.
Okay, well, Jarvis Landry, he's facing battery allegations.
This has come out of the blue.
There's no even rumours about
I didn't even hear a single whisper about this. And when it came out, and then news started to come out about what it was about, I don't know how bad this is. This looks serious, this one. They talk about Zeke's and they blow it out of proportion, saying, he could be bad in 8 weeks. On no evidence. This looks really serious.
Well, the way this sort of official story is going at the moment is, tempers were high, they were shouting, but he didn't actually physically hit her. That was her words.
Yeah.
But then, it's probably in her interest, monetary-wise.
Well, I don't understand how something like this
if he's not playing, then
this has been kept off the radar, and then
apparently he informed the team, didn't he?
Yeah, but
and he hasn't been offered a new contract, so we don't know. Well, that go hand in hand.
That's the telling point, because if he was, if they were, he's a great player, so you would immediately assume they would start negotiating extending his contract. They haven't done that. I'm thinking because they're expecting quite a serious ban here.
You really think so?
Yes, I do.
I don't think. No,
well, if you think about it, if he gets a serious ban, then there's no point negotiating his contract.
But if he hasn't hit it and she's saying that, how can they possibly?
Police are still interested in the case. There's still a lot hanging over it.
It's definitely one to keep an eye on.
Why has it come out now? This isn't. If it was a rumour that they were trying to quash, they might as well have come out with it 6 months ago. Why leave it till now? Why is it suddenly flooded out now? I think because there's about to be a statement on it, something more serious. So, very worrying, and I'm afraid you probably have to swerve. Maybe too late for some, but you may have to swerve with him.
Okay. Well,
just at the moment, until we know more.
He's certainly a risk now.
I think he's a bigger risk than Ezekiel Elliott.
And on the same lines, Chris Carter came out last night and sort of blew up Twitter.
Yes, that was very funny.
Saying the Ezekiel Elliott case is about to blow up.
Yeah.
And, new evidence is going to come out and it's going to...
It all seems...
In fairness to Roger Goodell, he came out and said, that's not true. No, he doesn't have any say in it.
Yeah,
we haven't made any decisions.
I just personally think what we said right back at the very beginning still holds true. That there is a misdemeanor crime at best, and I use that absolutely at best. It's a misdemeanor. I'm not condoning the behaviour because it's stupid, but it's in the eyes of the law. He's not been charged or prosecuted with anything. The offence he has hanging on him is a misdemeanor crime with a friend. So it's not like this lady is an unknown person. He just went over there and did what he did, and that was bad enough as it is. Even if it's a friend,
pulling someone's top down.
Obviously, those kind of friends don't exist in my world.
Yeah, where are they? We can all do with friends like
that. They didn't come to the draft. Maybe they'll come on Southampton's draft. Maybe our good Commissioner John could organise such friends. Anyway, moving on. It's not one of those things that's going to. It's going to be a 1-2 game, and I honestly, genuinely believe.
How can you ban someone when the police aren't?
It can only be one game for a misdemeanor crime. I was trying to look at all the NFL rules that exist,
and this is stuff we don't know about.
Yeah, I'm trying to look at what exists in the NFL policies, and I can only see it being a misdemeanor crime. Therefore, it's a 1-game ban at the discretion of the commissioner. So it really comes...
He's already not very popular in New England.
Exactly, and then it could be nothing.
It'd be hard to go to none of the grounds soon.
Yeah, so we'll see how that blows up. But they're making more of Zeke than they are Jarvis Landry. I think Jarvis Landry's the one to watch, as we just spoke about.
I suppose Zeke's more high profile, isn't
Yes, he is.
I mean, Jerry Jones says he expects no suspension, so he's saying,
well,
you try and suspend him almost, isn't he?
And to his credit, I was really pleased to see him getting inaugurated into the Hall of Fame. That was really interesting, that was.
I don't like seeing rich people who... I know he did a bit for the game, but...
He has
made the game.
Yeah, but he's put his money in. He took a risk on Dallas when...
He's made a fortune.
Yeah, but it wasn't expected. Got to remember, when he bought that franchise over, they were really in a doghouse.
I think there was quite a funny line from Trump, wasn't there? He said any idiot would take over the
exactly. And you know what? Jerry Jones and Jerry Jones turned it into $1 billion organisation.
Yeah. You can't argue that.
You can't argue that. And not only that, but he revolutionised how people look at stadiums, how people interact with the players. He has done a lot of good for the game.
I guess he has.
And to think when you've got players who come out of their dressing room through a glass tunnel in front of you as a fan, almost touching distance. I love the big screen. Almost touching. I don't know if you've seen it when they come through the lounge.
Yeah.
There's nothing more exciting to me than that, and I just
walking
think
through a lounge.
No, with the players running out, ready to go on, pumped up, ready to go. It's just exciting, isn't it? I suppose we won't get any of that on John's draft.
He gets so involved with everything. That's what.
Yeah, I understand why people might not like it, but you have to understand. Look at what the criteria is for the Hall of Fame, and And interesting, that leads me on to a nice little point as well. We put an article out because I just got to put this in because it's brilliant. If you want to have a look at something interesting, TFP, Thefanpub.com. We got an article on there about Terrell Davis and my view on why he deserves to be on the Hall of Fame. And there was an interesting debate I had online. I won't bore anybody with it, where some people didn't agree he should be in. Fascinating that was. Fascinating.
That was like red rag to a bull.
So I mean, if you think Jerry Jones shouldn't be in, which would be interesting, I'd be interested to see if anybody ever agrees with you, which they may well do. And I could understand that because he never played, and you could argue all that. But I think he'd done a lot for the game as well.
It's a very passionate article. You should definitely check it out. Lots of other articles on there as well, so lots of good stuff to read. Bills have signed Anquan Bolden for a year deal. I mean, that is quite a savvy signing. Actually.
Yeah, I think it's quite sneaky good. I mean, I kind of rushed to the waiver wire and grabbed him actually the other night. And not because I believe that he's like this great.
He actually got 8 touchdowns last year.
It's more about the Bills don't have a lot at the number 2 spot, and
especially Sammy the Boot Watkins. Number 1.
And then you've got their others. You've got the rookie who I think is going to do quite well, Zay Jones. But it's all very Tyrod Taylor needs some players that he can trust. I think this will. I mean, he's 37. Don't forget Anquan Bolden.
Yeah, so, he's not going to be like.
But he's very good at the short, intermediate red zone.
If you need somebody to plug and play for a week,
he's perfect for that.
When you're scoring a touchdown in every other game, then
you don't mind that at all.
It's a lot less reliable.
So it's a solid, and he'll probably be a late round flyer in a lot of drafts still. So.
Who do you think it hurts the most? Someone like Charles Clay, would you say? Who's going to be a red zone target?
I think Charles Clay definitely takes a knock back. I think it does damage the rookie a tiny bit, not a lot, because we don't know how this is all going to shake up. But I definitely think the tight end is affected. Yeah. So in this case, I think so. Clay's very solid in that red zone, as you say. He's very reliable. And he does seem to get open. He's got that. You don't need a lot of speed when you just got to have elusiveness. He's got that. Never lost it. Just one step, one direction or the other, and he's open.
A couple of players that are missing time with hamstrings. Josh Doctson had a slight pull on his hamstring. We saw him limp out of practice.
Yeah, it's very concerning.
Corey Davis as well.
Yeah, Doxton's one seems a little bit more serious than some of the others. But again, until we get classification,
he had an MRI. It was a slight pull. It was
the pull. These are nasty things. I'll tell you a little bit about this because again, like everything, I try to research them as much as possible and bound ideas off what likely to happen. And the problem with a pull on a hamstring, particularly for a wide receiver, is you have to give it the full 3 or 4 weeks to rest. You can do some light training, but you have to give it the full. You can't do any cut work, no steps, nothing. You can't do any kind of intermediate stuff or route running. So he's going to have to take it very careful.
And for a rookie, that could be.
It's quite serious. And then, of course, the problem comes that then there's a very high chance. There's a 50-50 chance of a re-aggravation with those. That's a big problem. So you have to watch this space with it. I mean, he might recover in half the time and be fine. But those are really worrying ones.
Okay, one story that isn't going away. Andrew Luck could miss one. There's certainly
it's definitely looking more and more likely that he's going to miss a bit of the early season. The beginning of the early season of the NFL this year.
And the best case, he'd be rusty in week 1.
Yeah, and I think what you have to do, and these things happen. I got him in Dynasty because I'm looking at the long term. I had a couple of very weird conversations about Andrew Luck. The first one is somebody said this could be career threatening. No, it isn't. This is not career-threatening. This is a guy who played with this injury last year. I think you would agree, if you play with this kind of injury, he showed some real toughness in a bad line, being sacked constantly. I think if the guy needs an extra month to recover...
I can see what he's saying, because it is his throwing shoulder. So
but it's not the kind of injury that generally has any long-term lingering effects, and it's not the kind of one where you say there's a 1% chance you never recover. It's not that kind of injury. These generally you recover from. He might lose a little bit of power.
Time, do you think?
Yeah, he might lose some power over the initial few weeks after the recovery when he's at full throwing strength. He might lose a bit of that long range in his ability to throw, but this is a savvy fantasy franchise quarterback. He can make all the other throws. He'll adapt quickly. If he needs an extra month, I say give it. I'm not worried about it. That's why you always have a backup. Or in my case, I took Joe Flacco.
Yeah,
and then I had to get Jay Cutler off the waiver wire. Never a good sign when you've already got 2 and you need a third. That's a bad sign.
Talking about Joe Flacco, he's had a second opinion, and they said it's positive for a slow return. So
yeah, that's
what they mean by slow. How long is slow?
Well, it's a back injury. So he did it when he was dead weight lifting, and the problem with any back injury, a bit like what happened to Numar on his neck, is the last thing you want is any kind of herniated or disc injury. So the reason they're probably taking it carefully is he's probably had his back's probably moved a little. So they're just waiting for it to set, realign, which is quite normal. There's only so much work a physio can do, and it's just literal rest. He can still use his hands, as long as he's not moving his back. He can still keep practicing in some ways, but it'll all have to be lightweight stuff until he gets the all clear. So I don't blame him.
Do you think you are going to be playing Jay Cutler week 1?
No, I think we'll be playing Joe Flacco week 1. I think Flacco will be back. It'll just rest it.
Cut.
Yeah. That's it's not a great start to my dynasty team.
It would be for me. I'll be happy with
I don't see him doing well week 1, I've got to be honest. But it is what it is. You have to play who you have to play. This is the problems all fantasy.
If Cutler hadn't come into the league, you might have had no one.
Oh, that's true. But in Dynasty, you never panic. No. You just wait to see what happens. You can always make a trade, but it's not ideal. You don't want that starting the year off, do you?
Okay, the Vikings have activated Latavius Murray from PUP, and now he's imminent to be practicing. What do you make of that? I mean, he's had a long time out, hasn't he?
The job is Dalvin Cook's. I mean, I have to be honest, in the draft just gone, I really wanted to see Dalvin Cook slip to his ADP level, round 4, but I kind of worked out in my own mind's eye that was never going to happen, so I resigned to the fact I wasn't going to get anywhere near him in that draft, and ironically enough, he went in round 2. So that gives you some idea. In a 16-man draft, he went round 2. Amazing, isn't it? But he will be the starter. That's the advantage.
That's because the running backs were...
And that fits in very well with our early forecast on Dalvin Cook, if you remember, right back to my very first video on this.
He did. He was one of your players to target.
Very interesting player to look at. We'll look at that list as the season unfolds in a little bit more detail. There are going to be a couple on there that are going to pan out to not be very good in the end, I think. But I think we've done okay. I think if you can get those sleepers, as I said to you at the time, you can get 2 or 3 of them right out of 5, you've done really well. And he could well be a very good one.
Breaking news off the press.
He's dead.
No, he's not dead.
Oh, thank God.
You haven't killed him yet. Eddie Lacy's made his most recent weight goal, Pete Carroll, sir.
I don't know how these people get these kind of bonuses for making their weight goal. I think that's just ridiculous. Maybe we should do that on the podcast. Maybe I should challenge you.
I don't think I'm making any weight goals.
But you could challenge me to put some on, I think. That'd be very hard. But I don't know how they get these kind of bonuses out. I mean, it's crazy, isn't it? 50,000, some of these weight bonuses.
Yeah, that's what some people get a year.
Mad money.
More than people get a year.
Oh, there's people out there who don't get half that money. Yeah. I mean, seriously, it's ridiculous. For a 1 month.
He's had 3 of them.
I know. What an amazing life it is.
He's $165,000 up.
And he's done nothing yet.
Yeah.
Hasn't carried a ball.
What's he going to spend it on though? That's the thing.
Food.
Celebrate.
Probably food, I think.
Yeah. Once his last weigh-in check's gone, he'll be eating for...
when he doesn't get a weigh-in check, he's gone.
He must be starving.
Yeah, poor guy.
Right. Other slight news you might want to know about, some camp news. Tom Savage currently clear number 1 apparently in Houston.
Yeah.
So Deshaun Watson probably won't start the year.
It's probably for the best, and it'll be all right. I mean, he won't be long before he starts.
You see it being similar to the Rams last year where they bring him in.
Yeah, it'll be a few weeks into the year, and he'll definitely be starting. I mean, it's not even like it. He's going to become a fan favourite. This guy quite quickly.
2 other players that are winning their respective jobs as well. Brock Osweiler.
Yeah.
And Trevor Siemian is winning over at Paxton Lynch.
Let's just wait and see what happens with Trevor Siemian. Let's see how this all plays out, because let's be honest, it's just a matter of time. It's the heir apparents are all in waiting, aren't they? It's just see what happens during pre-season. A bad game from Trevor Siemian.
Do you think Kaiser's the heir apparent to Osweiler?
I do, yeah.
Do you think he'll do it this year?
Yeah, I do. I do think Kaiser will break in, yeah.
Do you know the Dolphins talked to Browns about trading for Osweiler?
Wow. That's terrible, isn't it?
Yeah, and signed Cutler.
And unbelievably signed Cutler.
What's Colin Kaepernick? I know what he's done, but surely football matters. He's almost been blackballed.
Well, the problem is, like we said before, it came down to one thing, and no matter what we think, over here, Al, about Cutler's stance, and I understand the stance, and I get what he's trying to do. Kaepernick's stance. Sorry, teeth playing up, and I got wired to the head here. I understand his stance, I get that, but the one thing you don't do in America, a couple of things you don't do, you never disrespect the military, and that's how it came across. And therefore, that becomes toxic. That becomes toxic to a fan base. If you take him on board, any team pick him up, there's going to be a huge amount of heat.
And the Fidel Castro t-shirt.
Oh, terrible.
No need for that.
It's just pointless exercise. Have your opinion, keep it to yourself. You can do it when it's not NFL related. When you've retired, you can say what you want. That's up to you. But also, you have to remember whatever you say, as much as it's it has
gone against him. There's no two ways about it.
It definitely has affected him.
He's too good not to get a job.
He will get a job, but at the moment, there's just still a lot of heat, and anybody that picks him up will have to face a lot of backlash from their fans, and that's hard.
It's like if anyone signed Ray Rice, he can get as fit as he wants. He's not going to get signed again because of what's going to come with it.
What I heard was there was a few. I mean, again, this is only rumours off fan forums and various other things, but there were a couple of teams who were. Like the Baltimore Ravens is a great example where for a little while there was a potential possibility they were talking about taking Kaepernick as an example.
I thought you would say Ray Rice.
No, and no, they won't go back there. But the fan base was immediately up in arms about it, and most of the ones they were citing about the military. But the best line I heard, and I thought was absolutely apt, was that if they sign this idiot, I'm going to organise, because apparently this guy goes all the time, I'm going to organise the main stand in our stadium to turn their back to the game, not to watch him. I mean, that just said it all to me. I thought, wow, can you imagine what that would say to the owner of your team, that your fans turn up, pay for their ticket and don't watch the game? I mean, that'd be horrendous. So
that happens all year at the Rams.
Well, it does at the Rams. We put paper bags over it.
You get more entertainment looking the other way.
We watch the opposition. That's where we get our.
You see as many touchdowns.
Yeah, okay, it's a tough organisation. I think McVay can turn it around, though. I do, but I was very sceptical.
But slowly.
But it's 6 wins only this year. It's not a huge improvement. It's going to be tough.
Yeah, I think 6 wins is
it's fair. It's fair.
He's probably exceeded.
It's fair.
Who knows?
It's a fair amount because. As much as people criticise that was either too high or too low, I mean that says it all, doesn't it? So when you say it's too high or too low, I mean that says it all. That's about right.
It was too low.
Well, exactly. The Rams fans. I think 6 is fair. I think McVay. We can get wins because we've got Wade Phillips at defence. There will be low scoring games.
Defence is always all right.
Yeah, we'll be all right.
I'm a bit sorry from last year.
Yeah, I mean, you had to be on the field all the time. I mean, it's a nightmare. No defence can cope with that first 16 games. You're not going to survive. But Wade Phillips will find ways to get pressure and turnover. So let's just believe that the Rams can slowly turn it around and give McVay a good 2 or 3 years to do it. If in 3 years we're in the same boat, we'll talk again. But at the moment, I'm not worried about it.
Can only get better after Jeff.
Can only get better.
Last bit of news. Pittsburgh Steelers hoping Martavis Bryant will be fully reinstated this week and can practice.
You may recall we said that it would be exactly this time period that he would be reinstated. How about that? Do you remember in the podcast I said 2 weeks from that point?
There was a beat writer last week. One of their, I don't know which beat writer it was, to be honest, but he was saying that it could be week 8 until he's reinstated.
Yeah, nonsense. It will be. You will find.
Trying to get
absolute nonsense. There's a protocol in play for this stuff, and he has fulfilled his part of it as per the NFL guidelines. So he had to jump all the hoops, rightly so, because he committed all the mistakes. He's done that. The commissioner is well within his right to ask for all these things to be in place and give him a small length of time, which he's done, to prove there is nothing else to come out of the closet, no more issues, and everybody agrees, having double-checked all the facts, he's done everything he's been asked to do. Those things are now in place. He will be reinstated. It's that simple. And he will be training as of 7 days from now, I would suspect.
I lied. There's one more bit of news.
Oh, good. Yeah.
And it's about an injury to Keenan Allen, which has gone under the radar. No.
Okay.
It's only a little one, but it could be the start. He's got a sore calf, apparently. So he's been rested for a few days.
It should be okay.
And Amari Cooper's missed a lot.
I'm glad
Amari Cooper's missed
that's the one that's interesting. 4 practices.
And these are going on very quiet for high-profile players.
Well, Keenan Allen, very simple. I'm not worried about that bit, as much as most people might be a bit.
It's only a sore calf.
Yeah, most people might be a little bit.
Sometimes you overcompensate though, don't you? If you got something sore.
Yeah, the problem.
Like Gordon Reed did.
The problem comes in anything in life. I did this recently because I've been doing this walking challenge, as you know, for charity, and I had blisters come up on both heels and my feet, so you compensate for those because you don't want to put pressure on them, and then I hurt my actual ankle. So those kind of things do happen. So I wouldn't be surprised if the calf is due to previous problems. But I'm not worried about Keenan Allen. But Amari Cooper's is actually very relevant because when you miss 4 practices, something much more sinister at play. This isn't a minor swelling. This isn't a minor tweak. There's something else we're not being told. That's concerning. If he doesn't come back to practice
soon, it's definitely something to monitor, isn't it?
It definitely.
If you're drafting soon, keep
Well, round 2, the problem I've always had at the moment this year, same as last year, and I made the mistake last year, was I was expecting the elevation. The yards were there, but the touchdowns didn't come. I do believe he's on the verge of it, but any setback now, and he's definitely got no chance to return value.
I read a stat about Amari Cooper. Do you know what? He was targeted 9 times in the red zone.
It's not a lot.
Do you know how many times he caught? None.
Well.
Not one catch.
I was going to say 1, but yeah.
The year before he was pretty good, but last year...
Yeah, I don't...
So that shows you there is a chance if he does catch like some of those.
There's a huge opportunity for him to... And he's in his third year. He's in his third year. It's often a breakout year for wide receiver. I know they tend to be even quicker these days, but some do take a little longer.
It's not like he's been terrible, is he?
Good quarterback, good line, good player, capabilities there. You can all see the magic's there. He's got the X factor. It's going to happen. It's just when. But an injury knock now, and it may be something more sinister than that, maybe his season, but you're paying a high premium for him, aren't you, in fantasy? Second round.
Well, it's just something to monitor and be aware of, isn't it?
Yeah.
With both of those.
Yep.
Okay, on to the next part of the show. It's ADP fallers and risers.
This will be very interesting. This should be fascinating as we gear up now. A lot of drafts are starting to take place. This will really start.
Yeah, this is where you get a lot more people involved, and the true sort of ADPs, average draft positions, come out.
Well, but maybe we should talk a little bit as well, actually, when you've done this piece about what happened in our draft, so people could be aware of that for their draft.
Okay,
in terms
let's see. I mean, maybe we do a special video on that.
Yeah, it might be to show the pressure of this year building. Actually,
yeah. Okay, well the fallers. We'll start with the fallers this week for a change. The biggest one is Corey Davis. That could be he's down 21 places to ADP 124, wide receiver 50.
What's your thoughts on why? I mean, I've got a couple of ideas.
Well, he's injured for a start, so he's missing at least a week.
But do you think it's serious, or do you think because he's a rookie, because he's missing critical time, you think that's the reason for the fall?
Well, I do, yeah. Because, they started to put Decker out wide now.
He's got fantastic chemistry, apparently, with Mariota. So
and that's another reason.
And I'm not just saying that, but I'm just being honest. I mean, what we've read, and I'm getting this from, I saw Mariota talk about it.
I've read the training camp.
I saw Mariota talking about it, and he just said there was an instant bond. They knew exactly what each other were going to do.
Decker's class.
Yeah, he's a class act.
That's why he's going to fit into... He's done it everywhere he's gone.
There's no team. He hasn't just jumped straight in and played well, is there? There's no team.
His touchdown rate, I think he's got the third most touchdowns in the last 3 years, and he missed all the last year.
Yeah, I really do rate him very highly. And again, he's one of these players I've slowly, as he's got older, I've begun to appreciate him more and more and more as how good he is.
He's very underappreciated, but there are players like that.
But I could definitely see what you've said about Corey Davis. I mean, that also could have a nice positive for Rashard Matthews as well. He might get, because he's a solid pro. I'm not saying he's elite. Like Decker's a special player, but Rashard Matthews will make the most of his opportunities if they come.
Yeah.
He
doesn't proved that last year.
He doesn't miss much. If the opportunity's there, he'll take it.
You got Tyrone Taylor as well.
Yeah, he might be sneaky.
You've got
late round flyer. There are a lot of talk
Delaney Walker. There's lots of targets.
It's a lot of interesting team, isn't it?
I mean, we do like Corey Davis. Let's say that.
We love him to bits.
But you can see why maybe he's dropped a little.
I love him to bits. So as I said previously a few times, I see him this year a little bit. We'll see some greatness, some definite flashes. And then next year you'll see him build into a big role. Rashard Matthews,
and he'll go a lot higher.
Rashard Matthews will be like a fading kind of player, maybe move on again. That's just unfortunate part of the business with him.
He's like a journeyman.
Yeah, but he's a good, solid player and will definitely find work somewhere. And maybe still stay there because they look like they're building a very fascinating offence. Should be exciting to watch this year.
Okay. Next one is Samaje Perine. He's RB40, down 17 places to 111.
Well, I think the problem comes for Perine in two ways. The first one is that...
the camp's the main problem. He's been putting the ball on the floor.
Yeah, fumbled.
In Washington Redskins style, he's been fumbling the ball early.
It wasn't one or two fumbles, it was quite a number in practice. Pass blocking was poor.
And they took him. They almost, they've relegated him down.
Pass blocking was poor, which means Robert Kelly, I'm so pleased for him, looks like not only is he going to start the year as the one, could keep the job. That's fascinating how that's
at least he's going to keep it for...
At least he'll start with the job.
He couldn't have started any better. If you're a fan of Rob Kelly, that camp couldn't have gone any better.
If you as far as his opportunity goes, because that's all he can do is just be solid. this is the golden opportunity, because if everything's gone well with your off-season conditioning, you've had a good camp, you've done enough to impress the coaching staff, you've picked up the blitzes, you're doing what you need to do, he's got a chance, I mean, I was really worried about his opportunity, but there is a chance he can hold the job now. Fascinating, isn't it, how it works out?
Yeah, I think Pirine will be at least mixed in.
Oh, he'll get an opportunity. It isn't over yet for Pirine. And maybe that makes him great value because he's got to drop down the board somewhere. But it'll be interesting what happens.
In fact, four of the five fallers are rookie running backs. The next one is Kareem Hunt, RB41.
Yeah.
He's down 16 to ADP 113.
Now, I previously said in one of my videos, so we were going to release this soon, about Spencer Ware and Kareem Hunt, about what you need to do with the pair. But I've kind of now worked it out where we're heading with this one. And I've got to be honest, I might as well put it straight in there. It's becoming more and more obvious to me that Spencer Ware's the key guy here. He really is. Kareem Hunt will have chances, there's no doubt. But the biggest knock on Kareem Hunt right now, pass protection, just hasn't got it.
Yeah.
And that's a big problem, because one thing Spencer Ware can do, that's what he does well. He can catch the ball. You saw that last year. He had 900 yards and nearly 300 receiving. 1,200 yards. Certainly, touchdowns were a bit poor, but he was banged up a lot of the second half of the year.
I'm pretty sure the first depth chart I saw had Kendrick West ahead of Kareem Hunt.
I wouldn't be surprised. Wouldn't be surprised at all, because I see the Spencer Ware and Kendrick West being like they were used last year, and Kareem Hunt will get an opportunity. There will come a chance this year for him to be rotated in a few times, but we have to be honest, and there's a reason why he's dropping down. People are starting to work this out. This is what happens.
Well, sometimes you get a lot of hype for a rookie, and you have to temper that with the actual reality of what's going on.
We say this all the time with rookies. Now, somebody out of the ones we're mentioning will surprise us all. There's no doubt. But you don't want to pay a high price for that, and that's certainly the issue. So I'm not saying for 1 minute Kareem Hunt hasn't got value. God, he's got some value. Of course he has. He's a very interesting player. Great talent. Great talent. But you just have to mix in a bit of reality. So I always think if you're looking at the Kansas backfield in certain, depending on the league size, I think if it's smaller, it's not such a big deal. You've probably got several targetable running backs you can grab. But in a large league, if you're fortunate, you might be able to grab both. That's Spencer Ware and Kareem Hunt if you're worried about them. Great. But if you can't, Spencer Ware's the guy to own.
And another man dropping in a similar vein, he's down 16, he's ADP's 164, RB54 off the board, Joe Williams.
Yeah, he'd done everything right early doors, and the problem now comes that, unfortunately for Joe Williams at this moment in time, he's going to have to wait for his opportunity. He's probably not. He's going to get sprinkled in, the same as we've talked about the other two guys. They'll have opportunities. It'll be the odd run here and there, and he'll have to make the most of it. There might be some pre-season work for all three of these guys, Joe Williams included. They're going to have to take their opportunities to shine out.
He's another guy that's fallen. Their first depth chart had Hightower as the
I was hoping that he might show what he's capable of. But again, it falls to the same big problem. Hasn't picked up the blitz packages well, and has had some fumbling issues as well.
And the reports at Hyde, obviously, he cemented that.
He's gained their trust.
Role, so there's no chance that he. Well, there's a very small chance that he loses that.
He's gained the trust of the coaching staff, and it's always the key was, and he was the one of the. If you talk about all these starters, I mean, as much as Rob Kelly's a bit of a journeyman and made his way into their lineup. And as much as we've spoke about the others there, the one that had the biggest criticism starting this year off was Carlos Hyde. That the coaching staff weren't too interested, they weren't really positive about it, and they were kind of making the kind of moves that would make you think they're going to get rid of him here. Yeah. We'll take a 4th round pick for you.
Now that's sort of changed.
But that's all changed round, because what I think's happened, and I think this says a lot about Carlos Hyde's attitude, which full credit to the man. He's worked hard. He's made it clear to the coach. You tell me what you want. Let me prove I can do it for you. And the coach has said everything I've asked of him, he's done it. Can't say anything more than that. And in that offence, the running game is premium, and he could be very good, Carlos Hyde, this year. He got 170 last year. I mean, I'm not saying I like their schedule. There's some things about it that concern me massively, of course. But running games are running games. You've got to be able to keep it honest.
He did well in a poor team last year, didn't he?
Yeah, he did all right.
170, and he missed some games as well, as he always does.
He seems to always miss a few, and I think you're right. What you highlighted, Al, was that the number 2 would appear to be Tim Hightower at this moment.
Although he is injured.
Yeah, banged up again.
He's got a slight injury.
Another slight tweak. There's so many tweaks. You'll be watching them all year, these tweaks.
Yeah, well, they don't mean a lot yet, but,
tweaks become more serious and then become swellings and soreness, and before you know it, you missed a lot of time. It's easily done in football.
Okay, the last guy falling, another running back, Latavius Murray is down 16 to 126, but he might climb a bit now. Now he's back off PUP, so I guess it was probably people, because Dalvin Cook was named as a starter.
He's now moved up on the depth chart to be the starter. Latavius Murray is now playing catch-up role, and I don't think the rookie's going to give this one up. I think Dalvin Cook we can put a big tick against and say we got it right in the podcast. That's a tick, because that's a guy who's going to work his way into the lineup. The only thing that worried me about
Dalvin Cook, I think he's probably a superior talent to Murray.
Yeah.
But Murray's a goal line, and that's really annoying if you've got a running back.
It is annoying, and you are right, it is a concern, and it can happen, but you don't get many number ones in the NFL who've got legitimate running and pass catching ability. Dalvin Cook is that guy.
I'm very interested to see how he does.
He didn't have a very good pro day. Now, I think we mentioned this before, but it's worth mentioning. I understand why people look at that pro day and go, that's very important, that's very telling. Sometimes we all have a very bad day at the office. Yeah, I'm sure my dentist this morning had a bad day at the office.
I think he did rather well.
And
I'm pleased with his work.
Yeah, thank you for that, mate. But so I wasn't worried about that. What I was interested in his tape and seeing what I thought of the defences he faced, and that's what I based my judgment on. Sometimes you can make too much of stats and metrics. You have to look at the reality. So I think Dalvin Cook has proved he's ready. And look, in Minnesota, for them to turn around, they've just had Adrian Peterson there. They know their running backs. For them to be excited, that tells you a lot. But the problem I see on him, there is a rub. This isn't one of the most high octane at this moment in time.
Well, look at the running backs last year. None of them did anything, did they?
So you have to temper everything. It's great for the rookie. Let's see how it all starts to pan out.
It's very exciting. Just to find out what's happening.
I think it'd be ideal in that offense with Sam Bradford throwing in the ball. And I think looking forward, with a bit of luck, hopefully Teddy Bridgewater comes back in 2018 and everything's okay and he's ready to go. And I think he will be. That'd be really exciting to see them, because they've got young explosive pieces, and it'd be really good to see the two of those together. And I think
where does Sam Bradford go?
He'll go on a journeyman, probably play with Rashard Matthews. Maybe Miami, who knows? Watch this space. Who knows with Sam, but he'll find a job.
Okay, biggest climbers.
Yeah.
Wide receiver 49, Jordan Matthews, up 32 to 180.
Yeah, you were very sneaky here. You got him a late round, didn't you, in the Dynasty? I couldn't believe you. 15, wasn't it?
Dynasty, yeah.
In my live draft, 16 rounds it was, 16-man league, 16 rounds.
Yeah,
15th round, he fell that far.
In a 16-team draft.
Incredible. I had wide receivers and just were in a different position.
I had to go and check he was still there. I know I'm not a big fan, really, but in that sort of range...
You can't knock it, can you?
People are kicking kickers and stuff.
You can't knock it. I mean, it's solid. I mean, okay, it's not exciting,
is it?
But it's like sometimes in football you have an injury and you need someone to come in and plug the gap.
Do you think of any reason why he's climbing?
Because I think
may too low, perhaps.
I think his ADP is too low, and there's fantasy value with Wentz. I mean, the team is going to move the ball, and there's going to be some scoring opportunities. So and he is going to likely be their one. So
well, Jeffrey will be there one.
Well, while he's not injured, I mean, I think this is the
Torrey
problem.
Smith's very boom or bust, isn't he?
Yeah,
mainly bust, really.
I mean, I suppose Alshon Jeffrey is the one. You're right, but I just always see him going down so quickly, and then it ends up being. This could be an interesting one to watch. Actually, how this pans out. So he offers great value. His ADP. There's no doubt about
Terrence West, no surprise. He's up 29 to. ADP 90, 34th running back off the board. He's a starting running back.
Yeah, he wasn't the 34 in our draft. He went a lot higher than that. And this is the problem, you see, because we'll talk about this later. We won't go into it here, but there was a lot of pressure. We'll just say there's a lot of pressure on running backs.
So how many picks were in our 16-man?
16-man league. The previous year there was only 22 running backs taken in the first 64. This year there was 33 taken in the first 64.
I mean, that
thinned the position out so dramatically that Terrence West had moved radically up. I think
he went round 3, didn't he?
Yeah, went round 3. That tells you all you need to know for listeners listening, because you might think, wow, that's crazy. But when you think about it, once there's a run on them, there isn't that many great ones. You've got to get some on your board, or you're left with not even second string starters. You're not even talking about targeting the backup.
It was crazy.
It was amazing. So and I really did like him, and I'll be honest, I really wanted him, but he just went around. I was hoping to get him in 4 or 5. I thought that would have been sneaky, but no. The way that draft was going, there just came a point they all disappeared, and that I can totally see it. I mean, it's not because. With Terrence West, I just think it's the opportunity and the workload. I mean, I'm not thinking for 1 minute total excitement extraordinaire, but I certainly think if you've got that kind of offence, you've already highlighted a brilliant stat about how Flacco, assuming he's okay, and I'm going to assume he is, gets the ball out quickly. He moves the ball very well down the field. It's all sort of dink and dunk kind of stuff. It's perfect for the running back, close in. Terence West could have a very interesting, sneaky year, actually.
The other one rising is Danny Woodhead up to 77.
I'm very shocked. So
he's going above.
I'm shocked.
This is standard, not PPR.
Yeah, I'm shocked about that.
He's at 14.
But this shows that those kind of risers.
What you just said about dinking and dunking, that is Woodhead, isn't it?
It is Woodhead. And the interesting thing is the ones that have fallen are the rookies' backup. The rookie backups. The guys who people are just starting to see a bit about.
So you should probably take a starter over somebody who's a backup.
You're seeing all the traditional starters who've got a history and a metrics and things you can look at rising. And Danny Woodhead, when he plays, has been very good. And again, this comes
he's
as
been an RB1 twice.
And he's in an offense where if anything happens now to if Terence West gets injured, I mean Danny Woodhead, while he's healthy, it's the usual while he's healthy, he's an RB1 potentially.
We're talking about Buck Allen, Javorius Allen, he's back in the mix again.
Oh, it's unbelievable, isn't it?
He's ridden from the dead.
Yeah, fascinating this is. But there you go, this is what you think you'll find. We'll cover it in another video, but all we're going to say is I think you'll find a lot of drafts, particularly large ones. It's alright, it's easier when it's smaller leagues, you've got more targetable players, but 14 to 16 man leagues, and maybe even slightly smaller, the pressure on running backs will be immense this year, particularly in standard league score settings.
Okay, well, the next player going up, and this could be from the Jay Cutler news, Julius Thomas is up 23 to 155.
I actually think that was the steal of the draft. You got that, didn't you?
No, I didn't.
Who got that?
I got him in Dynasty.
Dynasty, yes, that's where I remember it from. But I think he's one of the steals of our draft, actually, because I do think that he'll get a real upside. I mean, you've got to think 20% more.
Well, Cutler, what did he... I mean,
that's what he's famous for.
With Zach Miller. Zach Miller's come out this week and he's saying he's the best quarterback ever.
Yeah.
Not surprised.
He kept throwing you the ball. He made your career.
Zach Miller's career.
Yeah,
him and Forte.
Thomas must get a 20% uplift, and that's quite exciting for anybody that owned him, has already drafted him and got him. I mean, okay, it's a tight end. I'm not going to be overly excited with any of them, but that might mean that he could be in the top 7.
He's going as tight end 19.
He could be in the top 7 now, in the borderline of top 7 with this.
Another person rising is Devontae Parker, who's gone up 17 to 91.
I'm not hugely surprised. Jarvis Landry could be facing a suspension.
Yeah, makes sense.
Kenny Stills is a long ball threat, which is the problem.
Can Cutler throw a long ball?
No, it's going to be... I think I've got Stills, actually, funny enough, before the Landry news hit. And I had him as a kind of a... there'll be some boom or bust plays, but far fewer of them, in all truthfulness. And I suspect that somebody like Laurent Carew may have some value now.
Well, he's been sort of training with the first now, hasn't he?
They're going to need him, and I got a feeling that gives you another telling indication of something very serious hanging over Landry. We'll see.
But I think Stills has been carrying an injury as well.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. But none of this is going to be a reshaking of their values, and you're going to have to adjust your rankings according to what you think that adds to the value. I mean, I'm swerving a lot from these players, I've got to be honest. But sometimes in life you just have to take what's there, and so judge it as you will.
Okay, the last sector of our show, cut, trade, keep.
Yep.
The first 3 you've got is LaShawn McCoy, Melvin Gordon and Devontae Freeman. Cut, trade, keep.
Well, I'm 100% keeping Freeman. You know why? Because Devontae Freeman to me is... Mr. Consistency. In fantasy, there are very few consistent players.
He's had back-to-back 200 years, 200 point years,
and that was and he had that last year. You could say, well, number of running backs did, but the year before was when only one did.
I think Freeman's still got 237 or something like that.
Yeah, and that's great. It's so consistent, but he did it in a year where a lot of running backs failed. So for me, he's one of the consistent. I actually think with the offensive changes and coaching changes that have occurred, I think he actually benefits a lot. So I actually think he's a really good one under the radar this year. There's always the chance that Tevin Coleman, because of something that happens to this guy, becomes very valuable too. And I do like this pair together in certain drafting situations. I love to own both. I know a lot of people are put off with Tevin Coleman. I'm not. But I do like them. But yeah, I really like him. So the other two are McCoy. I'd trade McCoy.
And Melvin Gordon.
Yeah, I'd trade McCoy, and I'm gonna cut Melvin Gordon to the floor. And I've got no reason to give you other than the fact that I have to do one. I just prefer the others. I like Freeman for consistency over Gordon, and I know that won't go down very well, but I'm sorry. Gordon had a 0 touchdown year, then he had a very good year. I don't know how to judge him. And I don't know how to judge him. Whereas McCoy, I'm trading on his name, what he did last year, and I'm a bit concerned about the age. If I'm being honest, I'd target the number 2 behind him and see how that
came into my head weirdly the other day.
Yeah, go on.
We're talking about San Francisco.
Yeah.
I was thinking, well, Dallas might cut Alfred Morris.
Yeah.
And who played really well with Shanahan?
That's true.
At Washington.
Yeah,
Alfred Morris.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
Just putting that out there.
Yeah,
it's probably putting 2 and 2 and equaling 5.
Yeah, well, it's a nice idea, and you never know, because coaches do...
I mean, it's pretty crowded already.
No, well, the thing is, if there was a problem, if something happened to one of those guys, he might bring him in. So it's a very good shout. Yeah, you never know. Because they trust players they've worked with before that can do what they need.
Okay. The last cut trade keep...
Yep.
Is Thomas, Hilton and Bryant, 3 wide receivers going around the same area.
Thomas, Hilton and Bryant. Interesting. Okay, so I'm definitely keeping Bryant, and the reason I'm keeping Bryant very simply is because I absolutely love the ceiling. Okay, I'm shooting for the stars here. Now, I think his touchdown ratio when he plays in games is exceptional. His explosive ability is just second to none. I think he gets the all clear and he gets a full body of work this year, and I think this is Ben's last hurrah, so they'll be going all out for it. So I suspect a very good year ahead for Bryant.
No, this is Des Bryant.
Oh, is it Des? Sorry, I do apologise.
I thought you were talking about Des Bryant until you said Ben's last hurrah.
My considerable apologies.
Yeah, so his people too. T.Y. Hilton, Des Bryant and Michael Thomas. You're still keeping Bryant?
No, I'm going to keep Michael Thomas. Is going to go with the ceiling here, so I'll go with Michael Thomas. I think the ceiling's too high. The New Orleans Saints, exactly what you said about Bryant is the same. He's their legit threat. He proved what he could do year one. There's no cooks. It's all his. So yeah, I go keep him. I'm going to just get rid of Des. Sorry, Des. Just cut him and trade on the other.
Do you think you get more for T.Y. Hilton with the luck user?
Yeah, I do. Because
Des Bryant.
Yes, I do. The reason I think that is because T.Y. Hilton has proved it without luck there, and I think I could trade on that.
Yeah.
With Des, I'm not so sure what's going to come with Dak Prescott.
It's a tough one, isn't it, really? Because Thomas has got... I think Michael Thomas has got a good floor because they throw a lot, and Breeze is a...
Can't see Willie Snead taking away a lot of red zone threats.
Hey, talking of Willie Snead, do you see the big news on the depth chart?
Who's over?
Wide receiver 2.
Who's wide
receiver? It's only Ted Gibb.
Yeah, I did.
Willie Snead.
Yeah, I did see that, but I think that shows you the position. It means Snead's in the slot, which is what we thought. Ted Ginn plays over the top.
Yeah, Michael Thomas plays stretches the field.
Michael Thomas plays the intermediate, short, and long when required. So he plays the full 3.
So they do spread the ball around a lot, don't they?
Yeah, I mean it's not like he hones in on one target. He will spread the field. They've got a good interesting running game.
That's it. Michael Thomas for me is like Lamar Miller as a running back. Their floor is quite high, I think.
Yeah,
but
there's also the floor could be quite poor.
It could be quite average as well.
Yeah. You have to be. It's mindful because
it's good and steady, but it might not be fantastic.
He had Cooks taking away some of the pressure last year, so but I do think they spread the ball around. So I'm less worried.
Ted Ginn will stretch the field.
I'm less worried about Thomas, and that's why in this trade cut keep I'm shooting for it. I don't mind him. I don't mind him at all. But I do have some concerns with Hilton. But Hilton's proved it with other quarterbacks when he's had to. So at least he's a fairly good one to trade on. At least he's got a metrics and say, hey, when he wasn't playing with luck, he did this. Or when
Bryant does as well, isn't he?
Yeah, he has. But I think Dallas are up and you're going to have a tough road to climb this year. Tough schedule. I want to see how they do. This will be a real make or break year for them. I'll see how well they do together as a unit.
That Zeke news is quite key to that. To my fantasy season,
Dallas is I think he'll be fine. I know, as I say, for most people who take the chance on Zeke, I mean, that's why you take him at 3. I think he's still worth taking. We're not looking at a big problem here.
So I worked out if he misses one game, he would have still scored more than any other wide receiver.
Yeah. So there's no
including Antonio Brown.
So there's
in standard.
So there's no issue there. You can't get too worried.
There's an issue if it's 8 games or 4 games.
Well, yeah, that's a different ball game entirely. But he hasn't done that.
Or even 2 games.
Yeah, well, it hurts a little, but let's not worry about that.
And the worst thing is about the one game you'll miss. I'm playing you on my first game.
I'm delighted about that.
But typical, isn't it?
I'm delighted about that, but then you're playing me in the Dynasty League in the first week as well. Did you remember that? Where I've got no luck, no Flacco.
Yeah, I've got Zeke in that as well.
We do sound like we know what we're doing.
It's going to be like 55, 54.
We do sound like we know what we're doing on this podcast, don't we? Anyway, we'll have to let you know about those games in due course. Just around the corner now.
I'm sure one of us will be bringing it up.
Big time, I suppose.
Okay, well, I think that pretty much wraps it up for this week. Unless
Indeed.
you've got anything else you want to add?
No, I think that's perfect for this week, Al. Jaws just about held on. Thank you, dentist. What a wonderful man you are.
He had fun this morning. Anyway.
He certainly did.
He'd obviously had a bad weekend.
I think he had a bad weekend with his wife. I've got to be honest. The way he was manhandling me concerns me.
It wasn't Jarvis Landry, was it?
It could have been. I don't know, Al. It was very worrying, I have to be honest.
Allegedly.
I will say this, his bedside manner was rather cutting. I did like it.
I know. It cost me a tenner, but, money well spent.
I think you're bloody right, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, well, thanks for listening. If you've enjoyed it, please, smack that like button.
Always like subscribers. We're getting closer to the 100 mark. We're at 85.
That's our target, isn't it? Really, we're up to 85.
We just need 15 more, and then we can run a competition as the show finishes off this year, and somebody's going to get a damn fine prize out of it. So we look forward to telling you more and more about that as we get closer to the 100 mark.
If you want to come and chat to us, or you fancy a day drafting against us,
Southampton's looming just at the beginning of September.
Okay, thanks very much for listening.
That's going to be a cracker.